Hey guys, welcome back to the Comedy and Custody podcast. This is the second half of our interview with the fabulous Olga Koch.
And also I think it's because I moved, it was after university, I moved to a new city. I didn't know anyone there. It felt like a very low risk thing to do. Like, I think if I was doing it in a city where I knew people, it would be more embarrassing and more self-conscious. Whereas here I was like, well, I don't know anyone. And if this goes terribly, it isn't going to affect me in any way.
Exactly the same as me. I was doing improv, and then I was like, how do I do this but no one else gets to talk except me? This is what I want.
You got tired of like shooting everyone in the scene?
Exactly. It's like, no, I don't know more of this and yes. So I was like, and no. Me. So, interesting. So you did that, and obviously, like, things are really taking off for you.
Oh my God, you keep saying
They
that.
are. They are. You're in the
so.
town hall. You sell out your shows.
Sometimes.
Well, that is amazing to us, and you've got two massive fans here.
Oh my God, you guys, I'm a massive fan of you.
100% of the people in this room, in fact,
God,
which is...
You sold us out.
So, was there a point that you thought, like, this is really taking off, I'm really onto something here, I can do this full time, and...
No. If I'm being honest, I've never done it full time. Like, for the first 7 years of my career, I had a full-time job, and after that, I started doing a master's, and now I'm doing a PhD. So it's like it's never been the only thing I've done. I've never felt like it's been the only thing I've done.
I didn't know that. What are you doing your PhD in?
Human-computer interaction.
Oh, well, I don't know if you know this. Joyce is a robot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she calls herself a robot.
I don't call myself a robot.
Sorry, the programmers call you a robot.
I'm a lesbian robot.
Yeah.
Okay. What does that entail?
It entails like probably being on the spectrum, completely self-diagnosed.
Hell yeah, I love that.
Yeah, right. I feel like are we all on? You're not on the spectrum.
You're like, ADHD.
You're like properly like a proper functioning British woman.
No, well, I am diagnosed with ADHD.
Is that spectrum?
Is
that spectrum?
So put it in and find out. I'm more the neurodiverse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so I am a lesbian robot because I feel like I am on the spectrum and just completely by feelings, which is ironic. But yeah, and I've just been programmed really well to function with other human beings in society and to also serve my girlfriend well.
There you go.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Feel free to use her as a case study.
Yeah, this is human-computer interaction.
It is. See? Use me as your thesis.
So I know this is not what we would usually talk about, but human-computer interaction, AI kind of, is it that?
AI is part of it, but it's literally whatever you want it to be. Like the foundational sort of lectures of human-computer interaction is like, how big should a button be? Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's something as basic as that to, I don't know, like how kids can learn from the internet or whatever.
Amazing.
It's everything. It's just like
it's everything.
Digital mediated communication.
Because now it's everything, because everything is a computer now. Like everything that doesn't even need to be a computer is a computer. Like toasters have screens. Do you know what I mean? And you're just like, that's human-computer interaction.
Amazing.
I have a body.
You do, yes.
No, so when you mentioned that, I was thinking about your special prawn cocktail. And you're talking about how all these guys, because of the internet, they feel like they know you, and then they talk to you through the internet as though they know you, but you actually do not really owe them anything at all.
Yes.
And I was trying to link this with our earlier topic about the toxic masculinity and like men and women and comedians. And I find that when you see clips of female comedians online, there's always going to be it's always a man who comments like, she thought she was funny, like use me as a dislike button. Yeah. Or like, female comedians, they always talk about sex only. It's like never women who do that.
No.
Like I don't go to like videos of, I don't know, like an MMA match and be like boring. Why do you think that is so? Like, how do you think what's your take on it?
What is my take on it? Oh God. Whenever I see a comment like that, which is like, you're completely right. The two big comments are women aren't funny. And again, I'm like, okay. It's not that women aren't funny, it's that I'm not funny. You can't make generalizations about a whole gender based on one person, and if you could, then all men are rapists.
Nice.
That's number one.
I love that.
And number two, it's something that I genuinely daily go through when a man is like, why is it that women only joke about sex? Because my immediate reaction, my petty reaction is like, I don't just joke about sex. go onto my Instagram, look at my other jokes. It's just that the jokes about sex gets the most views because you like watching stuff about sex. So it's your curated timeline that's serving you videos about sex. It's not me who only talks about it. But I also have to like stop myself from doing that because it's like that is me sort of acknowledging inherently that jokes about sex are dumber or more stupid than jokes not about sex. And then I have to be like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with talking about sex? Sex is not a taboo subject. And you can make smart jokes about sex, and also smart jokes aren't inherently better than dumb jokes.
Yeah.
Sex is just as valid a topic as any other topic. I talk about what I want.
And it's universal, right? And it's something that people don't speak about so freely, so you have somewhat of a novelty.
Yeah.
I think it's a great topic. I mean,
and it's also like it is part of the human experience, and like that I want to talk about it. So I shouldn't be I shouldn't be justifying to a random man on the internet why I'm talking about this, because I owe him nothing.
Exactly, and already you've put like more effort into the past like 2 minutes of explanation than he has ever put in his whole life into any of those thoughts, right? And also, it's always a guy commenting on a female comedian. Like, women do not comment on like male comedians being like, why does this guy always talk about sex, which they do.
Yeah.
Like, no one ever does that. It's so mind-blowing.
I just think, I mean, and of course, I'm sure you get the other side of it. Do you get the perverts?
Yeah.
Also, there's
Are they not the same people?
They who knows? Who knows? When we
Tell me about the perverts.
Well, no, I was just,
Tell me more about these perverts.
I was just
the creepy grad students.
no, I was just curious because that's the other thing of like the female experience being online. I think is you get the men that are less well intentioned, unlike the.
What did he do to you?
I'm being very polite. Well, no, I
They'll send like a dick pic or something.
Yeah, a lot of. I mean, I don't.
Is it not filtered? By Instagram?
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh, I don't know. I've not had it. I'm just curious to know because you have a giant fan base, and I wanted to.
I don't know if it's giant. I think I used to have more pervs. Now it's less so. I'm aging, and it's also this like one of those things. I don't know if you guys get this, but it's so funny to me that God, okay. This is something that I genuinely, truly feel very strongly about, and this is universal. It doesn't really matter about your sexuality or your gender. This happens to everyone, is that when a comic is on stage, we are creating an illusion of intimacy, right? We are saying, oh my God, I'm sharing a secret with you. Whereas in reality, it's like very curated. We're choosing what it is that we're sharing. We're painting a picture that we want to paint, right? Like, we are disclosing what we want to disclose.
You shared it to like 1,000 other people.
Exactly. And like, you are aware of what you're doing. And then the person sitting in the audience, and like, I don't judge them because I am that person sitting in the audience all the time. I buy into the intimacy myself all the fucking time. Before as an audience member, now as a comic, I'll still be like, oh my God, I'm really getting to know this person.
Yes.
Like, obviously.
Yes. Oh my God.
Obviously happens all the time.
Yeah.
And then you kind of do need to check yourself and be like, no, that was all an illusion. That was an illusion. That's like, you know, when you're like, the stripper actually loves me.
What? She doesn't?
She loves you. You're fine.
No, you're special. You're
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
Everyone else is a client. You are a lover.
Yeah.
It's work with everyone else, but not you. Mm-hmm. And so I remember distinctly. And, like, I don't want to judge these girls because I am those girls and I have been those girls. But you guys know Zach Zucker, the comedian. Mm-hmm. He does a character called Jack Tucker. And Zach Zucker is one of my good friends and also, like, a conventionally attractive, beautiful boy. Like, he is just a hot man. And it is fine. Like, that's normal. But then Jack Tucker, the character that he does, he wears, like, a wet, gross suit that he, like... But, like, he literally puts a suit that looks really bad, like, ill-fitting. And then he goes and showers himself. So he's, like, he's dressed up gross. And every show that you go for Jack Tucker, there'll be a row of 20-something girls in the front row looking at him and going, and you could see just in their eyes, they're like, everybody here thinks you're gross, but I can see that you're And I look at them and I think, well, I was one of those girls before as well, and I totally get it. And this feeling like everybody here thinks you're fucking disgusting, but I see the hottie inside because I'm special. And then, so I definitely have been this girl many a time before. I remember, like, in my 20s watching hot male comedians be like, so I'm single and I can't get a girlfriend. And I'm like, I'll be a girlfriend.
So true.
So now I definitely have guys come up to me and being like, yeah, everybody probably thinks you're a freak, but like, I'll take you out. And I'm like, oh, honey, get in line. It's fine.
Oh my God. And it's hard as well. And probably same as both of you love to chat to people after the show.
Yeah.
But I've never thought of this. You have created this feeling of intimacy,
Yes.
not just with the opposite sex or, whoever may be attracted to you, but just with people in general. And then people are so lovely and they want to come and chat.
Yeah.
And they feel like they
And
know
there's
you.
an asymmetry of like knowledge because they know so much about you and you know nothing about them.
And you're fucking exhausted as well. So this is, I'm terrible because I used to be such an extrovert. And I think comedy's made me an introvert because
So interesting.
because after a show, particularly, people, oh, Sasha, it was so good, and we want to chat, and I'm like a shell of a
channeled
human.
all the extroversion into
yeah.
like a concentrated period of time.
Yeah, and
You've done like extrovert conversion therapy.
exactly. And I also have really horrible face blindness. So the combination of those things, where people come up and talk to me after a show, I'm just like, I don't know if I know you, and I haven't got the energy
it's like,
to
I'm your
work
daughter.
it out. Yeah. Mum. Yeah, are we having dinner or not? But that's really interesting about that feeling of intimacy that you've created, because people are so sweet or not after a show, but sometimes they are, just the audience members with nicer intentions,
But so much of art is creating an illusion of intimacy because, like, when you listen to like Taylor Swift's breakup songs, you're like, I feel like I know you, right? And like, one of my favorite, I would say, is she a performance artist? She's definitely a contemporary artist. Sophie Calle, she's from France. Her whole art is literally just being like, I'm going to make you feel like you know me by like showing you very select, like it could be like a nude or it could be a text or it could be like a voice note or whatever. And then there's this like understanding of like, oh my God, I'm being shared this like such an intimate thing, and your brain short circuits and it's like, well, I must know this person. And it's really just, it's playing with that illusion of intimacy that I think is so interesting.
And she does what, Sophie Calle?
Sophie Calle, she's just a performance artist. Like, I don't know if she's a performance artist, if you can consider what she does performance art.
Okay.
But you can see her in the gallery. She's like at the Tate Modern and stuff. She's
okay.
she's
Okay.
like a
Visual artist.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Wow. I'm gonna state the absolute fucking obvious. You're very smart. You're very like
you're smart.
I really am. It's the story about the speaker in the head. I really know.
You're like a multi-millionaire living in Singapore.
I am living in Singapore, barely scraping by. It's a very, very expensive place to live, and I've got very expensive taste in travel as well, which doesn't help. But you studied in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you study?
NYU.
NYU. Okay, so also Ivy League. NYU. No. But it's better. But you are getting a PhD.
That's where the rich kids go.
Okay. The most important thing I want to ask you about your PhD is once you get it, will everybody be referring to you as doctor?
Dr. Koch is literally the only reason I'm doing it. I was like, do I change my name to doctor or do I get a PhD? Which one's cheaper?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think if I ever got a PhD, which I never will, I would be referred to as Dr. Sasha all the time,
Dr.
like
Sasha.
in the club, like everywhere. I just I just want to
Sounds
be
like
in bed.
I'm already referred to as Dr. Sasha. Just don't tell him I haven't got a real. He keeps asking to see the certificate.
An online university.
So your current special and the show you're doing here in Melbourne is Olga Koch Comes From Money.
Yeah.
And you do. Is it all right to ask you about that?
Yeah.
So tell us about your upbringing.
So I grew up in Russia. I grew up in Russia in the 90s, which was like a very crazy time. And my parents, specifically my father, found himself sort of like overnight quite well to do.
During your childhood, were you there for the before
yes,
and the
I
after?
don't remember. I don't remember. My sister definitely does because she's 12 years older than me.
Okay.
So for her, it was like a big switch overnight. And I think what like performing the show and talking about it is really interesting because like I think people, I'm trying to word this correctly because I don't think I've ever articulated it out loud before. I think people see it as like, oh, everything was like consistent and then this family's life changed overnight, when in reality what was happening is like the country changed overnight.
Okay.
So not only did my parents like experience a complete upside down, the Soviet Union fell apart, and like everything people knew to be true was just turned on its head, right? Like the borders opened, the government the government changed to the point where like a hostile takeover with like there was a tank in the main square of the city, and they were like, get the fuck out, this is a new government. Do you know what I mean? So it was like everything changed. And the way that I would describe that feeling was like, growing up, it felt like I arrived at a party that just ended. Do you know what I mean? And I saw the sort of like, oh, that's like the half full solo red cups. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, something was here.
Something's happened.
Yeah, but I wasn't here
You're
to
just
see
a
it.
kid.
Exactly. It's like I wasn't here to see it. And like even in language, people would like say things about the Soviet Union where you were like, I don't know what that means. So for example, when I was eating food as a kid, my mom would be like, you have to finish it. Otherwise, you won't be inducted into the Clean Plate Society.
Oh.
And in my head, I was like, okay, I guess that's a thing. And then I grew up and I was like, what the fuck is the Clean Plate Society? And it turns out like it was like a propaganda tool that like was created by the Soviet Union to say like Vladimir Lenin started the Clean Plate Society.
Wait, so it's the actual thing, not something your mother made
No, it is not real, but like it was like a piece of propaganda to be like, like kids who finish their food get inducted in the Clean Plate Society. And again, after the Soviet Union fell apart, you don't really talk about Lenin, but those things like in your language are sort of like relics of a past time. And so I think, I guess I don't necessarily talk about that in this show. But like when I think about my family, everything changing overnight, it was like turbocharged by the fact that not only was everything changing for them, it was changing for the whole country.
Wow, interesting. And what was your experience growing up in terms of, did you feel that you knew at that point, we are fortunate, you know, I have,
oh God, absolutely.
Knew.
Yeah, it was dope.
I think I've said earlier.
It was dope. No, it was. I mean, I was very, very lucky, very blessed to have been raised in what, in retrospect, I now understand extreme privilege. Yeah, I guess I think the fundamental thing that people from privilege have and don't notice because they never have to notice is the fact that they never feel need. And I think that's okay. And that is fundamentally, so when you don't feel it, you don't know what you're not feeling, and that is the sort of empathy you have to develop in retrospect.
Okay. And then when you moved away from your family, so at what age? That was for university to go to New York?
I actually went to boarding school in the UK before. I don't talk about it in this specific show just because it's like it's hard to wrap your head around, and sometimes you need to sort of just streamline your show in order to make it make sense. But I went to boarding school in the UK, then university in America, and then I came back to the UK.
Okay, and how was your experience of boarding school?
Oh my God, huge wake-up call, because like I was growing up in Russia, so I was like quite homophobic, super like traditional gender views, like all this shit had to be challenged for me at 14. And like I couldn't back up any of those views, I just had them because that's what you do in Russia. Okay. So then it's like, why is being gay wrong? And then you're sitting there being like, I actually don't know.
This is like all girls boarding school.
No. Oh my God, come on, keep it in your pants. Keep it in your pants. We're talking about 14-year-olds. Keep it in your fucking pants.
You linked it together. And like, where else would you kiss a girl besides like boarding school?
Oh yeah, no, obviously I kissed girls in school.
You just didn't have to be forced to kiss girls. You chose to.
I chose to, yes.
Nice.
Where were you? Where were you in the UK?
In Staines.
Oh.
It's where Thorpe Park is. It's like a random place.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, but near Thorpe Park, which I hope is why your parents chose it.
Oh my God. I wish. I only went to Thorpe Park once in 4 years, and that is the worst regret I've ever had in my entire life.
That is sad. That
like, you need to be buying an annual pass. You need to be going constantly.
Well, I mean, you said privilege, but now I doubt it, honestly. now this is a sad story. Thorpe Park is a theme park in the UK.
We could see it from our high school.
Wow.
The fact that we weren't there every day, like, I to this day don't understand why.
And you love theme parks.
And I fucking love theme parks. And it was like walkable. Like, I could go on a roller coaster every day after school if I wanted to, and I didn't. And I've never regretted anything more.
Alas, she was busy kissing all the girls.
Yeah.
You can't kiss a girl in a...
Can you imagine going on a date to a theme park? I honestly, every time I go to a theme park now, I look at the teenagers on dates and I'm like, why was I not doing that?
Right.
It's the cutest date you could possibly think of.
Isn't that sweet? I love the
have
idea.
you been on a date in a theme park?
I don't know. I'm a big theme park fan. I hate roller coasters and anything that moves too fast. But
what
I love
do you like about it?
The theme. I love
the
theming.
The theming is amazing.
I'm not into the theme.
I'm a big Disney World fanatic.
A queuing experience?
Oh my God, absolutely.
I don't have to
Interactive,
yes.
like
dark rides, come on.
All of it. I've been to every Disney park except Shanghai.
So how do you get into it? How do you get into it?
Into theme parks?
No, into the theme of the theme park.
you just like let wonder take over.
That is it. Yeah, the happiest place on earth. It's, we'll take you. We'll take you to a theme park. You poor deprived woman.
I think it requires a level of earnestness you don't have.
Yeah.
I like roller coaster parks. Like I would go to Six Flags, like do all the rides.
To me that's boring. I'm like, why am I on this roller coaster?
But
What's the story?
There's no story. The story is like you're on a machine. You're a machine on a machine.
No.
What could be better?
I
need to be like, are we going to space? Are we saving somebody?
Exactly,
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Is there a restaurant at the end of this that's themed to the same where I can eat? Like I want to eat a hot dog that's called a space dog. You know, like that
$50 souvenirs.
Yes,
like, you like that?
I want to buy a hat.
I think maybe it's the Chinese woman in me, but I'm like I go into every situation thinking I'm about to be swindled out of my money, and I do not want to be swindled. So like, you are not gonna cheat me. Like you're gonna get me on your ride, but you're not gonna get me to believe it and buy the $50 keychain.
So I love this. So you have financial literacy, because what we were talking about growing up, I grew up with very little money. I had like the government paid for my school lunches and like couldn't always go to birthday parties because we couldn't afford the gift kind of thing. And for me, I'm like terrible with money now. I have a little bit because I'm like,
no, that's
theme
how
park
it
hat,
is.
space dog.
That really is how it is.
Yeah.
No,
for me.
is. Like, is that the way it is for you? It's like you have money growing up, so you're like not very giving with the money, and the other way around.
That's true. I think I'm pretty bad with money.
Okay.
Maybe
so
that's
we
a
do have the
comedian
whole
thing.
spectrum.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any method to the madness at all.
Yeah. Interesting. And is it being well received, your show? I'm sure it's been.
I mean, I've had a nice time performing it. I think it's a tricky one in terms of like, I guess the challenge of the show was to make it morally neutral. And I think essentially the very title of the show is Olga Koch Comes from Money.
Yeah.
And I think it's very easy to interpret it as Olga Koch comes from money and therefore she thinks that is good.
Yeah.
Or Olga Koch comes from money and that's a horrible thing. And I think, it's even difficult for me to perform the show or to even write the show, not coloring it in any way. And the most exciting, I guess, creative challenge was to just be like, no, we need to be able to just like state facts because otherwise we're never going to be able to have conversations about it.
Because what I was going to talk about before I got overexcited that you were going to be a doctor
Please.
you have a very intellectual style of comedy.
I don't know if that's true.
No, I think that is. I think that's very much. I would see it as very much a thing that it's clever. Like you don't come down to the lowest common denominator. You're like, this is my joke, and I know because when you're on stage, you say, if you don't understand it, I will explain it.
Yeah.
But you don't hold back in terms of, the audience may not get this.
I kind of resent the idea of that. Like, I used to be like, you need to talk to the stupidest person in the audience, but I'm just like, I don't think people like being condescended to. I also think people like feeling smart. When I get a smart joke, I feel so smug. I feel like, and I'm like, okay, well, I would love to give that feeling to my audiences.
I love that. And I love watching you for that reason. And I did feel smug at some point.
Yeah, you're
so
like,
I
do I understand science?
Yeah, so maybe I'm the doctor. But because I love that. Because I think a lot about like American and British comedy. So I used to still have an American friend and we used to spend a lot of time together. And he was a comedian and I'm British versus American. And the way we wrote was so different. And I do think there is... I think like I don't want to say British comedy is cleverer because that sounds awful, and I know I don't.
But it
I
is.
don't. We overthink. Like when I write, I'm overthinking. I'm looking for the clever angle and things like that. I think American comedy is just like, this is funny, just laugh. Like,
right.
And it's not it's not a criticism. Like I would hear throw some ideas around with American friends, and then I'd be like, I don't think I don't necessarily see it, and then they would go on stage and just crush, and I'm like, prove me wrong.
No,
like,
but you know what? Maybe that's like a club set versus like a special kind of set. Because when I see specials, most of the time people try to have this like overarching theme, and then there's a story that comes full circle. Like that's what you do, and like I think that's like what I've done in my own special. And I think maybe it's the difference between a club set, which you just wanna, I don't know, like there's just you gotta cater to it, and then there's like your whole like, magnum opus.
Do you know what? It may well be that, actually. It could be. And I'm not saying that with any criticism towards American comedy. It's actually almost the opposite. I'm like, I love that it's so different to how I would write, and, the audience gets it in a different way, and that's the joy of the magic of all of it. But definitely for me, you exactly what you just said. You write your story, right? It's very
Yeah, but I think it is just like exactly it's different goals, it's different like how do you want your audience to feel. I know essentially I write the shows I want to see, and I remember I liked comedy, and then I went to the Edinburgh Fringe for the first time in my life in 2015. And then I remember sitting in an Edinburgh Fringe hour, which is like an arts festival comedy hour, very similar to Melbourne Comedy Festival. But this idea that like it was the first time I was introduced to this format of like a 1 hour narrative that isn't just funny. It makes you think. It maybe makes you cry. It makes you like shift your perspective on something. It like shares someone's experience. And again, it was doing all these things that are like maybe are a little more philosophical, a little more theatrical. And that's when I found out about the hour, and I was like, oh well, that's what I want to do. And so I don't think it's more or less valid than a person who's like, I want to kill a 20-minute at the Comedy Store where every single thing I say gets a round of applause. That is just as valid. It's just different. I think one of the most like common misconceptions in comedy from comedy fans, and I used to have this misconception, is that like alt artsy comics look down at club comics, or the club comics look down on artsy comics, where it's like, no, everybody respects something well done. Like, absolutely. I can love a clown set knowing for a fact that I will never clown in my fucking life.
Yeah.
So on that note, so because you've had so many 1 hour specials, right? I can see that you put so much thought into like crafting them. And my question was, because you've been doing this for a while, how do you feel about your older specials? Like, do you feel like they're quite like done and dusted, or like you would happily go back and stage them again? Because sometimes when I see comedians like you, I'm like, I wish I had known about Olga like way back then, because then I could watch like that special. And if you don't put it on YouTube, like it's kind of lost because it's a live performance after all. So like, what's your take on it?
Oh, if I'm being completely honest, and this is gonna sound so smug, I'm so proud of all of it.
Yeah, right. They're
all
really, really, really proud of it.
I love that.
Like, because I was like, it's not perfect. Maybe I would have done it differently, but it's like, I think one of the worst thoughts you can have is that your first special should be perfect. Your first special should be the worst thing you've ever made. Because if it's the best thing you've ever made, then you haven't improved, haven't grown, and haven't gotten better. But that being said, I'm like, yeah, because I think what happened there's like I guess like two graphs.
Nice.
Oh my god,
I'm
losing my mind. There's two graphs. Yes, you become a better writer, be a better performer over time, but because your like profile grows and because it becomes more serious and becomes more of a job, you take less and less risks.
This is me.
There you go.
This
so
is
like
me.
my first show, I was wearing a fucking insane tracksuit. I had a projector, I had props, I had music cues. It was like about like a weird aspect of Russian history. There was like all this shit. And then I guess with time I was like, okay, no, I guess I'm now a stand-up comedian. And then you think, okay, well, budget-wise, I can't get a projector everywhere. And then it's like, the QLab file means that I have to pay a tech person that like to be trained in a specific thing, and then that's going to be so difficult to do at other festivals. So then you streamline your act. You're like, fewer sound cues, no projector, like all this stuff. And so yes, I have become a better writer and better performer, but the risks that I take are significantly lower, because when no one knows you, you can fuck around and do and try and be whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
So when I look back at like my first and second hour, they're like weirder than what I do now, and that's exciting.
I love that, because mine's more just with writing. More people see it.
Yeah.
I feel like the bar is higher, so I take less risks.
Yeah.
So I write less. That's
and
I'm literally just busier. Also, is the other thing.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. I've never done anything too zany with the projector and stuff. I'm not quite there yet, but you do it. You do it.
Yeah, well, what you said resonated, because like my first special it does have a projector, and I feel like it helps with the story because I'm showing my childhood photos. Like you really just have to see a picture of me as a boy, right?
Yeah.
And but I'm also coming from the angle where like, you know, knowing what you know now, you have all these skills, and you also have, in a way, like more access to like audience, to like resources. There's going to be so many of your fans now who would wish that they could. Would you redo like your first two, for example?
I would love to. I mean, like my dream would to be to do like at a theater like all 6 of my shows, and one every night. That would be so much fun.
Like, why not?
I don't think I have the audience for it.
If you don't have the audience,
I also genuinely don't think I'd be able to remember 6 hours of comedy for a week.
Okay, maybe not to redo all 6, but like just to just restage it. Like,
yeah, it would be fun. It would be very fun.
Like, why not?
It would be fun.
Because the thing about live comedy, you just had to be there.
Yeah.
And then it's not fair if like you have a whole fan base who wants to like see your old stuff, and then they just didn't get to be there, like on that day at that theatre.
Yeah.
In that country.
Joyce wants you to do all your shows for her right now.
That's
Would that be
fuck, all
inconvenient
right.
before you leave?
I'll
have
try
a
my
few
best. For
hours.
you, I'll do anything.
Have you got 6 hours now? Do you mind just standing up? I'll just make
That's a real
yeah.
lock the door, Sasha.
On that note, my darlings, we have run out of time. I have 1,000 more questions I'd love to
Yeah.
ask you, but we're going to let you go because you're so busy. And
Thank
got
you
lots
so
to
much
do.
for having me. What
we're
an
so happy to
absolute
have
joy.
you.
I hope
And
this was in any way helpful.
It's amazing. It's
It
amazing.
was so fun.
Oh my God, stop it,
Uh,
guys.
loved it. Plug your show, my love.
I'm going to be at Melbourne Town Hall at 9 p.m. every night. Come hang out.
It's and I am at Brumanity at 8:30 every night except Thursday when I am at 7 p.m. The show is called Never Date a Comedian, and we run until April 5th. A lineup of single comics every night come and compete to win a date with an audience member, and it could be you. Please do come.
I do not have a show this year, but I will have one next year.
Woo! Woo! And this has been the Comedy and Custody Podcast. I am Sasha Frank.
I'm Nebulous Young, and she is
Olga Koch!
Have a great one, guys. Bye.
Thank you.